Good morning. My name is Lars Bratsberg, and I work for the newly created team of branding in the Nordics, where we, in short and sweet, talk to brands and agencies on how to build their brands online. Today, I thought I'd share two observations with you. It's observations of this industry, and I'll also propose a framework on how you can handle these two observations. But please have in mind, these are my observations. And with my observations, you can do two things. You can take them for what they are, or if you agree, you can do something about it. Okay? Let's see. So, main benefits of digital and non-digital media. Digital is both measurable and trackable. We know what choices people have made. 2, digital is agile. It is smooth. You can test and learn, tweak, test again, and learn some more. This is much better than the full go-to-market approach that probably a lot of you have already done. So, I'm going to speak to you a little bit about target groups. When I meet the management of a company, I usually start off by asking them a question. What is your target group? Usually, I get a rather complex answer. It involves demographics and other, what I call so-called insights. And there's a good reason this is so, because target groups and audiences has been at the center of marketing for ages. That said, I think it's about time to abandon this more and more. The reason for this is we no longer have to guess who's in your target group. You all heard the good old quote of, I know that 50% of my marketing investment is a waste, but I just don't know which 50%. Now we do know which 50% is a waste. And that's why we have to change the way we look about target groups. Because we can let people decide for themselves if and when they are in that target group. And therefore, we can communicate more effectively with our real target. So let's look at how our real target looks like. The gray area, which is almost white on this slide, but this gray area represents the population. The green represents the active buyers in your category. As you all know, few categories is bought by the whole population. This is pretty basic. The excited guys, the smiley faces, are the people who will actually buy your brand in the near future. The challenge with media purchase audiences is this, the red box. Based on the demographics are two things, which number 2 are the greatest challenge. I'll start off with number 1. Of the people who actually buy your brand, 47% of them are included in the media buying demographics. 53% is not. They're outside. And again, this is not your biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is that within media buying demographics, there are a lot of people who do not want to buy your brand. And that's a waste of money and a waste of communication, and the reason why there's so much noise in the advertising space. People are buying too wide media. So what is the real target? It's the smiley faces. Or rather, the people that in a short future of time will buy your brand of minimal investment of communication. And that's the target group of everybody in this room. The people who will buy your brand in near future with the least investment of communication. Think about it. Because it's pretty logical. The reason that we have over the years made it more complex than it really is because with traditional media, we was not able to measure accurately. So we had to come up with approximations for the basic target definition. Digital media, however, started with measurable. And therefore, it's actually reasonable to go back to the basic definition. The people that within short future of time will buy your brand of minimal investment in communication. It should not matter how old they are, from what sex they are, how long fingernails they have, or what their income is. If they're interested in your brand and is going to buy it, they're the ones you want to talk to. The point is that each individual journey through life is unique. And by putting digital first, you can stop guessing what it looks like and let people tell us instead. Always be present with your trademarks. Google has 2 products, and you heard about them for the past 24 hours, but I'll repeat 2 of them. Search, a reactive product to catch up when people are interested in your category. And YouTube TrueView, a proactive product, which is basically video advertising that you can skip. And skip is a signal that you are not currently in the target group. But if you choose to watch, that's a signal too. A moment that matters, a moment to win, which Kirk and James talked about yesterday. Being always on with these 2 products, you can continuously identify the persons who are in your target group and mark them up with cookies and talk to them at a later stage in different ways. So linked to this target market definition before we go any further, let me say that we should stop thinking in terms of maximizing reach, frequency, impressions, views, likes, etc. If I, for example, or you for that matter, put on a YouTube TrueView ad that people could opt out of or skip, why would I or you want to maximize the views on that video? Why? Why should that be a proxy? I don't get it. I want to show you, show it to those who are interested. The people who actually choose to see what my message is, those are the people I want to keep on talking to, not the other ones. So please do not pay for free entertainment and for those who will not buy your product. So, but this is probably could come off a little too much, but it's so deeply integrated in the industry that many probably do not think that they actually could set goals for campaigns, which by definition will mean that you're wasting money on the people outside your target group, even though the targets of your campaign were achieved. Let's say, for example, I'm active in a category over the next 3 to 6 months. Let's say it's about 15% of people who will buy the category and is willing to buy that brand. Why would I want more than 15% to choose to see my video? Because that's what you're aiming for. Those 15% of the target audience that is actually going to buy your product, those are the people. And with TrueView, you can actually find those people because they will actually choose themselves to communicate with you. So starts by reaching the ones who actually cares, and then you can shoot wide if you want to. The real bottleneck. Today, there's a gap between the real bottleneck for growth for most brands and where to invest your energy and money. This is the ROI equation for most or all media investments. It's reach times quality per contact divided on cost per contact. Today, we're talking to a lot of advertisers and agencies to the fact that reach and cost per contact is their biggest bottleneck. Because we hear things like, well, we have to minimize the investment in creative development so we have as much money as possible left to create that reach. Telling us reach is the campaign goal. the goal is 65% reach with a frequency of 3. That's not the goal. The goal is, of course, to sell more products. But my question to these managements are, what is your growth target for the next year? And usually they say, we would really like to grow from 16 to 19% market share, or maybe 50 to 55% market share. I rarely hear someone say, we want to grow from 16 to 76. So that means that these companies are looking for just a few percentage points of a group of people that from the beginning not representing the entire population. It's just percentages that they want to grow. And if they're skeptical about why they should invest more in creative development of great content to have money left for media, I ask them this question. Do you mean that in a world where people are greeted by 8,000 marketing messages a day, and where you are looking for a few percentage points, you think reach is your bottleneck? That's when we get the fruitful discussions. And I think for most companies, it's the quality per contact, which is the biggest bottleneck for growth in this equation. The quality of contacts. You could buy contacts, cheap, and lots of them. But are they of high quality to your business? Think about it. Even here, I will mention the YouTube TrueView and compare it to TV. Because imagine if you're sitting in your living room watching TV with your family, and you know that your commercial is on in the next commercial break. It's number 7 out of 10 commercial, and it's 20 seconds long. You've all been there. You know what's happened. You don't go shh when you see a commercial when you're watching TV with your family. But if you're searching for a video or looking up a video that you really want to see, and before that video, there is one commercial where we have the option to skip with no consequence. But you choose to see it. What's the quality of that contact versus TV? That's what we're talking about. And if that ad, the creative agency decided 1 minute and 23 seconds was the perfect length to tell your story, and you as an advertiser don't pay much more because of the length. It's the same price no matter how long the movie is, or ad. So regardless of length. So quality, in my opinion, is the quantity for breakfast in today's advertising community. I'm going to talk to you about digital motherships. By thinking digital first, you turn the old model around to become revitalized, not making the traditional marketing plan and then adding on digital. I think you need to start prioritizing creation of a digital mothership. That is a digital service that is constantly there and always supported with self-selected advertising. In this way, one starts with connections of high quality. Then you can add on the different campaigns linked to product launches, seasonal variations, etc., as you need to reach those financial goals. But these contacts of lower quality should be priority number 2, turning the old model around, putting digital first. So what is a digital mothership? It is a different things to different advertisers. It is a digital service that people want to go back to. It could be a recipe site if you're into foods. It could be a site for personal finance tips if you're a bank. It could be a site for travel inspiration if you're a travel operator, and so on. And I think that any industry here can find their digital mothership. And if you're unsure, I can already say that we have ideas on long-term digital motherships if you're in any of the following industries: banking, personal loans, retail, beauty, telecom, travel, tech, education, FMCG, etc. And if you need someone else to tell you the same story, you can look up Accenture Boston Consulting Group, and McKinsey's latest marketing reports, and they will tell you the exact same thing. And also, to my next point, one of the other biggest bottlenecks for digital branding growth is how advertisers and agencies are organized. They're struggling with this new model because of the way they're organized internally. Use it on the organizations that are designed to deliver top-down delivery of campaigns on a regular basis. Only a few advertisers and agencies actually can now work real-time with orchestration of communication, which is going to be more and more important. So whose fault is this? I would say it's primarily the advertiser's fault. And I come from that side, so I can sort of say this on my own behalf as well, before I joined Google. But they have made it possible, well, they have not made it possible for their media agency to change as they should, because they don't have sensible KPIs, or they're not getting paid to do that kind of work. Accenture states in their report that the separation of sale, marketing, and CRM stops success. That's pretty harsh. They say that CCO is your new job. That stands for Chief Customer Officer. Putting digital first, focus on the customer of high quality. The agencies have, of course, always a small part of this because they have not dared to be so tough to actually, that they ought to advertisers who do stupid things. Because buying people or buying reach and audience that is not going to buy a product is kind of stupid. And I remember when I was a CMO for a large digital startup, my brief to agencies was, I don't hire you to kiss my ass. There's a lot of people smiling. Do you feel that your agency sometimes just are there to just kiss your ass and you're just like, yes, you're so good? They should do the opposite. They should challenge your every thought on how you buy communication. That's their main focus. From my example, it paid off. If someone wants to talk to me later, I can tell you the whole story. But anyway, back to agencies. I think they have not had a clear innovation strategy. And if you had an innovation strategy, it has been based on incremental improvement and not industrial transformational change. You heard a lot about 10x in the past 24 hours. And I'll come back to that in a little while. But agencies has not gone to the advertiser and said, you know, right now, we have fallen between two chairs. We are not as good as optimizing all your ad buys as a computer. And we cannot invest much time in delivering high-quality contacts because you don't pay us to do it. So how do we do this? I think we need to pull out the challenge, and it's two extremes. And I love to combine extremes because then you find solutions. So a partnership strategy contains the base and the 10x. So I think whether you're an advertiser or an agency, you can do two things. One, base. Be disciplined in getting in place what works today and define what it is and just make it happen. Don't sit there and look, just do it. 10x. Dare to test the big things that can transform your business and industry. Select a pair of big bets that are in order of, Project Lunar, self-driving cars. You decide how big it is, but try to do some big things. Because I think all the things in between will only drain you of resources. The base. When it comes to the base, I think to get proven basics going to benefit from digital today. And I recommend two things that work. One, if you run the always-on true view, which we already talked about, to start off with by first capturing the contacts of high quality. And if you invest in TV, use YouTube to reach those who watch little television more effectively. And here, this is a Nordic study that your closest Googlers can present to you, but what we see here is that light TV users over here, 1/3 of the population, only 9% of TV viewing. But over here, the heavy TV users, still 1/3 of the population, stands for 66% of television viewing. 66%. So you all know this. If you have a goal that says reach and frequency of your campaign, and this is the media you're using, means that these people have not just been targeted 3 times. 15, 20 at least. And we can do the deep dive for you if you want to. So, but the group of light TV users are more affluent than average and usually an active group for you as an advertiser. So in always-on TrueView and YouTube as part of the mix, if you run TV, it's the base. It's just a matter of discipline. Don't be wasting too much money. So that's the base. And before diving into the 10x, I think I discovered that the Project Loon video wasn't shown before. So I'll show it to you right now. Please roll video.
Sometimes everyone isn't really everyone. Like when people say, everyone's on the internet. Because the truth is, for each person that can get online, there are 2 that can't. And when you look closer, that everyone looks even less like everyone. In some places, it's more like 1 in 1,000. In others, it's 1 in 10,000. And in some places, no one's online at all. But what if there was a way to light up the entire globe and finally make all the world's information accessible to all of the world's people? Well, even though today 1 in 3 kids can't get to a real secondary school, everyone could have secondary school come to them. In places where there aren't enough doctors, everyone could be helped by doctors in other places. Farmers everywhere could start using better weather data, so everyone could enjoy a bigger harvest. And because small businesses that are on the internet grow twice as fast, everyone could create new opportunities for everyone. But how do we bring affordable internet to everyone? Maybe finding an answer starts with looking somewhere new. Like up, and trying something different, like balloons. Yep, that's right, balloons. Because it turns out that if you use balloons, it's faster and easier and cheaper to give everyone the internet than it is to give some people the internet. That's why we're giving it a try, and why there's hope that someday soon, everyone really will mean everyone.
That's pretty exciting stuff. And it's definitely a 10x idea. And because we're Google, we can do some crazy stuff, and we can start working on this. And of course, when your CEO goes, if it hasn't been done before, that's exactly why we should do it. That's when you end up in, he has a partner in crime called Sergey, who works at Google X, and you get a project like this. But the thing is, and I'm not saying you're going to start doing these types of innovations, but just try to go home and think, what is the one big thing that would do not just an incremental change, but a 10x change? There's a lot more. Actually, it's easier to think if you're thinking 10x towards 10% improvement of things. But as an advertiser, you could embark on a digital mothership linked to your CRM system and supporting the always-on with advertising. And it's not about doing it again, but it's about to organize the marketing function in order to follow developments every week, kill what doesn't work, and invest in what works. if you're a media agency or you have a media agency, maybe you can test some of your customers' digital savviness and run this approach, and through that develop and modify KPIs and compensation structures. And finally, all the partners you have must work closer together. Advertisers, agencies, and media owners. I think you should do a small internship. Probably you saw the movie of internship with Google, but let's make it a little bit more serious. But you should make an internship at each other's workplace, continuously to deepen your understanding in each other's businesses. Maybe even have a mentor in each other's companies, just to make sure that you bridge the information on why you should change, because you have to change. Someone who did that is Nike. To bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. That's what they're saying. And by athlete, Nike's definition of athlete, I love this. If you have a body, you're an athlete. That means that's everybody. That's more or less the total population. That's what they're aiming for. But they're Nike, so it's okay. But how do they do it? This is Nike's TV and print advertising. It has dropped 40% over the last 3 years. But their total ad spend has gone up. Why? Because they figured out that they need to invest in high-quality content that attracts high-quality contacts. And where? Usually not on TV, as these graphs show. It's all digital first. They put much more high-quality content out on the internet to attract those new users, and you've seen through where they started, if you go through the Fuel Band, which is a product launch, which is definitely on TV, but how they sort of start changing. If you have a body, you're an athlete. Just as long as you do something, it's sort of looked upon as a sport. That's how they sort of changed this. And then they had a wider audience to look for, and they figured out digital was the way to go. I hope I haven't come on too strong. I've told this story a couple of times, but usually in a smaller room with just the advertiser, and we get really, really fruitful discussions because it's sort of mind-boggling. But it's my observations coming from 15 years in the media industry and as a CMO of a pretty large company. But digital requires change. Life is full of surprises. And life and the way we live change. And you need to change too. I hope you enjoyed my observations, and remember that they are what they are, and you can do two things. You can think what you like about them, but if you agree, you can do something about it. So I'll leave you with this Woody Allen quote. Showing up is 80% in life. And please, when you do show up to the right people, win that moment. Thank you. I see I'm ahead of schedule, which means I do have time for questions. It doesn't have to be on this topic, but I sort of touched upon a lot of stuff, so please help me. I'm not Petri, the Red Bull guy who was here before, but can I see any hands? Yep, there's a question.
Can you talk a little bit more about a digital mothership? I'm interested in a bit more of an explanation.
Yep, the question was if I could tell some more about the digital mothership. And I think it's just it's a phrase just to try to sort of figure out how to explain the idea. But if your category or product is a part of something bigger. So if you're in beauty, beauty is one of the biggest categories on the internet. Start thinking about use Google Trends, use your data, your internal and external data, and look for what are people actually looking for within your category. And then start building a place where they can go and find answers to those questions. So they return there. Because then you have a big place where you can guide all those high quality contacts that actually choose, for example, to see your true view. You need to, you need some place to put them. And your site isn't always the best place for to send traffic to every day. So it's something, if I could try to figure out an example. L'Oreal has created Destination Beauty, which contains L'Oreal things, but also competitor stuff. But they just decided to own beauty online. Because if they're just grand about it, and there's some, I don't know, I'm not that good with beauty brands, but let's say Max Factor or, Clarins or someone, it's also featuring there. That's fine. But L'Oreal says as long as you go here to L'Oreal Destination Beauty for beauty tips, that's fine, because we own that space. That's a digital mothership. Was that sort of a... Yeah, okay. Any other? Yep. That's a question.
Hello.
Hi.
I've noticed on YouTube you have the more than one option. I mean, you have the true view option where people choose all the way to watch the ad, but also you have skip after 5 seconds, or you push the ads all through and then the video starts. Do you have any data in terms of performance on those 3 types of, I don't know, advertising on YouTube?
Yeah, and I think you're talking about 2 types, because the true view is the one that you can skip after 5 seconds, and the other thing is reserved, where you have to watch it all the way through.
There's also some ads that you can skip right away. I mean, I've seen this option. It's not after 5 seconds.
To my knowledge,
or maybe I'm confused, but...
but anyway, if you look at those 2, I think if you force someone to see your advertising, it's just like TV. And people can actually be annoyed and, probably not like you that much. But if you go for the true view, there's an invitation to watch. And if you decline, that's fine. Let's just paint a story. Let's say, if you ask, I'm just going back to beauty. Let's say you're in makeup. And your target group is, if you ask them, you say, target group is 16 to 35. Okay. That's your target group, right? And that's probably right. It's probably, people between the age of 16 to, 35. But, and if you buy that demographic on other media, that's what you get. But on the internet, if someone at the age of 14 sees that ad, and she's going to the prom next week, do you think she's able or willing to actually see that thing because she knows that her mom will let her wear makeup in 2 weeks' time? Which leaves her, she's active in that category for those, 3-4 weeks around prom, and then she's out of it for the next year because, her mom won't let her use makeup on an everyday basis. So by actually inviting people to see instead of showing a message down their throat, it's 2 different things, which I think digital first is providing. No? I'm not going to force questions from you. I was told I'm ahead of time, but still, I guess if there's someone up there who could say, should I just continue with Carl and Sergey? Well, so, oh, there's a question. All right.
There's a big talk about everybody moving away from TV onto digital media. Do you think that then leaves an opportunity to actually reverse that trend and put certain things on the various TV channels?
Oh, so you're saying if you take money out of TV and into digital, that leaves space that you can actually do TV better? Was that the question?
Sorry, what I was trying to say really, as a brand that I'm trying to build,
Yep.
are there opportunities on TV which are getting more affordable, as well as combining that with sort of digital aspects?
Well, I think, and I'm not saying you shouldn't use TV for certain stuff. All I'm saying is that if you start with an attitude of actually going for the people who choose to see your ad, because if they choose to, they're most likely to actually be interested in your category. And if you take those people and then start the conversation there, and then you can sort of go wide if you need to, and that's of course up to every single business if that's your strategy. But I think if you start off by building your high quality contacts first and then talk to them in different ways, I think that's a much better start than just spreading your money wide on TV and just hope and then pray to God that they will remember your URL. Any further questions? In this room, Carl and Sergey are going to talk to you about expansion and internationalization and a deep dive in markets like Russia. And there's also a session in the Lighthouse Cinema in the L&D Center with Rutger. So if you need to move, you can start by doing so, or I know Carl and Sergey will be happy to keep you as a crowd. Thank you.